Hello, everybody. My name is Andy, and I'm here today to talk to you about how standardized tests don't measure education quality of a student. I would say that most of us, if not all of us, have taken, some type of standardized testing during high school that was used for admission into a college or university. I'm also sure that some of you have questioned, like, what's the point? Is it necessary? And today I'm here to make that case that they are indeed not necessary since they don't give a true evaluation of a student's talent, which lead to like lower level of education. And today I will also be discussing a solution to end standardized testing. You can start by discussing that the actual premises of a standardized test according to edglossary.org. A standardized test is an examination that administers and is scored in a predetermined standard manner. And according to the Washington Post, about 112 tests are taken from pre-K to 12th grade on average 8 times a year. Obviously, that test will come in later in your school career, but it's just interesting to see on average how many of the standardized tests students are taking every year. And today, also, we will be focusing on aptitudes such as the ACT and SAT, and these tests are meant to judge the academic ability of a student in certain subjects and how students will perform learning these subjects in college environment. And I think therein lies the problem with standardized tests. E.V. Joe Foster evaluates that of a student's ability because solely is basing it off of a set of questions for certain education doesn't truly encapsulate the student's true knowledge. These questions that only basic concepts such as grammar and reading comprehension, not to mention that the science portion of the ACT is essentially based on how well you can read and how well you can read a graph and answer corresponding questions, but these are already concepts you should have learned in the classroom. And I think GPA should be a solid indicator of how well you did. How many tests can you also decrease students' level of education? Because according to a 5-year study done by the University of Maryland, the majority of teachers felt pressured, locked down with teaching like this since they have taught towards a test, and it can cause miscurriculum because synthesized teachers have to teach towards the stern test. They have to change out the way they do their curriculum and also change the way they teach, and they could also be missing on things that they feel could be more important for the student. And ultimately, teachers are getting paid to do what they're doing, and I think they have a good judgment on what the students should be learning since they're essentially trained to train students. And I don't think that the standardized tests are biased because a test difficulty can vary. Essentially, that the SAT and ACT are both different tests. Obviously, personally for me, I've taken multiple times, and I would say even if I was taking SAT multiple times on the dates that I took them sometimes on, I was easy. Some of them were easier than others, so you can have a general advantage on whether you can take it or not, and you could also have a disadvantage if you took it on a different day, and it may be harder. And personally, for me, I think the SAT was a lot easier than the SAT, and my score reflected that. I feel that gives a certain bias towards certain students, and taking a test multiple times to essentially get the best score can put a big financial burden on families since these tests are not cheap, and a student will obviously want to take as many times to get the highest score in order to get into the university. So what we can do about this solution can be just to completely eliminate the standardized test and can focus more on the GPA, the extracurriculars, and also essays and experience that this individual student has gone through. According to the article posted by Fox.com, most tests are imposed by the schools districts and not actually the federal government. So this means that by petitioning district to drop the tests, we're able to actually have them to do so. But this will be something that will have to be imposed nationally, as well as for colleges. Will also have to change their requirements and further their admission system, because obviously now they will not have to use standardized tests to base off of a student's GPA and extracurriculars and essays in which I think is more of a true reflection of students' capabilities regardless, and this will also have to be accompanied by a new curriculum system that focuses more on the actual learning rather than learning from just a test. So the curriculum can be more focused on the student instead of being focused on tests. And I hope that me going over the drawbacks and issues of standardized tests today, as well as what we can do to fix the system and possibly change the way you feel about these tests or straighten your thoughts on the standardized test. And yeah, thank you.